YouTube, what the crap's going on? HeirofCarthage here, back in Total War Warhammer. I took a couple of days off, just spent some time with family. Nothing was wrong with my internet. Well, I mean, something is wrong with my internet. It's extremely slow. But since I had made that video recently and I took a couple of days off, I was thinking some people might be worried that I was like done with YouTube. Because I've been pretty regular with the content. I have missed a few days here and there, but not a lot. And I'm happy to do that. I love making content for you. That's a cool shot right there. Yeah, I love making content for y'all, but I just want to take a couple of days, spend some extra time with the family because it was the weekend. I probably don't do that for my family often enough, and figured that I probably ought to make things right. In any case, I'm happy to be back, and this is going to be more Beastmen action. I brought kind of a cheese Beastmen army here. It's 5 Ungor Spear Herd, 3 Gore Bulls, 3 Giants, and Mr. Kazrak the One-Eye. He's probably hiding back here amongst his men. There he is. And I actually have one Woo Pig Chewy, Arkansas Razorback. Right, whoa, hang on, what are these guys called? Razor Gore Herd, that's what it is, yeah. Sorry, I had to do that because from Arkansas, I had to throw that in there. And boy, did they ever get flayed by Alabama this last Saturday. In any case, here comes the engagement. So I'm up against a vampire army that's got a Chillgeist, a Claw of Nagash, a vampire, I think a vampire lord, yeah, and a Hellsteed. There's 2 Fellbats, mix of Graveguard, and some skeleton spears. So yeah, the Claw of Nagash also has the chilling effect, and it slows down your units a lot. You can see my unit of little piglets here is going to get slowed down significantly, like to the point where they're not even going to really do any damage here. The bats interrupted them, the Chillgeist thing slowed them down. They didn't even do anything because they just didn't hit hard enough. And they kind of play like a chariot. You got to hit and keep moving with them to be most effective. There's a Gore Bull down here that's going to get pinned down with tons of Karen Wraiths, bats. Claw of Nagash is basically just parked right there. Now my Giants, though, are going to do a substantial amount of damage to all of these vampire units. None of these vampire units are really meant to counter Giants. Let's take a look at the Vampire Lord and see what his skills are here. He's got the Hunger, of course. Looks like Invocation into Heck and then Raise the Dead. So he didn't come with a lot of spells at his command. So interesting. It's not going to be a whole lot of help at this point versus my Beast army. So yeah, basically this army was meant to be kind of a cheese against the vampires because the vampires struggle against Giants, and they can do alright versus heroes, but Gore Bull is pretty good. And then Kazrak is going to be the weakest component of this army. He's really good against blobs of infantry, but he's not going to be so good when he starts getting focused out by like skirmishers, which from the vampire isn't a problem. But against other factions it can be a problem. And he's also not going to be real good when he gets focused on by a lot of enemy heroes. But he's really not bad overall as a lord. He just has no healing potion, and neither does the Beastlord. And that's really what makes them less viable. If he had a healing potion, Kazrak would be pretty darn decent, all things considered. He gets a lot of kills versus even elite infantry. So yeah, that's what's going down over here. Yeah, you can see that my guys are able to tank this out. And this is going to be a pretty straightforward victory for me. And I even used this army once against the Greenskins and had some pretty good effect from it. I was able to destroy a Greenskin army even though they had archers to help deal with the Giants, and they had 4 Boar Biggins to help deal with the Giants as well. It just wasn't enough because the Ungor Spear Herd can tank off a lot of that damage, and the 3 Giants were able to pound the infantry line, while 2 of the Gore Bulls just busted through the infantry line, got to his archers, and I was able to destroy the Greenskin. So I was feeling pretty confident with this army. I didn't think it was unbeatable, but my feeling was that this army was going to be unpredictable enough from the Beastmen. Nice getting him a snack there. Not a lot of meat on those bones. Did you guys get that bad pun? Ooh, air's full of them. Anyway, so yeah, I figured that this would be a fairly unpredictable army because it's not very conventional. But you know, since when are the Beastmen supposed to be conventional? So yeah, this army is a bit abusive of the fact that I can just bring lots of Giants and heroes. But at the same time, versus the vampires, it's a lot better way to fight against them than trying to do it in a more traditional way, where you give the advantage to the vampires being able to scare off a lot of cheap infantry. So Ungor Spear Herd just to tank damage, and the rest of the units. Now, this battle's pretty much wrapping up, but watch this. I'm going to have such a difficult time chasing the Claw of Nagash because it has the chilling effect. That my Gore Bulls really can't catch it. They do kind of at first. One of them gets a charge speed and gets a couple hits, but they just can't catch it. Unfortunately for me, my opponent decides to go ahead and admit defeat. He definitely could have kited me until we got to a draw, so I appreciate that showing of good sportsmanship, especially considering I brought a somewhat cheesy army. But I wanted to let you all see that this army is not, it's not unbeatable for the vampires. And yes, I'm foreshadowing here, so sorry if that helps give away the ending, but I wanted to balance this showing, show you a successful Beastman strategy against the vampires that I adopted that time. But I also want to be able to show you what happens when maybe things don't go exactly how you expect. Now, number one thing with me that I'm really bad at is I just get distracted so easy. Like I get into the game, it's like, woo, playing some Warhammer, gonna have me some fun. And I just don't always pay attention. And every now and then I catch other players not paying attention, and it works out good for me. But these Blood Knights here represent 3,000 gold. No, they're a little more than that. 3,400 gold, I think. So that's a substantial investment. So you got Strigoi Ghoul King here, and look, what's this? Yes, Spirit Leech. Really? I didn't bring a single unit of Ungor Raiders, so I've earned this. He's gonna Spirit Leech the crap out of Khazrak. So you're gonna actually see Spirit Leech be useful in this battle for the first time since patch 1. Or patch 2, whenever they ruined Spirit, well, I say ruined it in a good way, because Spirit Leech was freaking stupid in the first patch or two. Anyway, we got a mix of skeletons, and there's a few Grave Guard and other units up here on the hill. Nice positioning, got some Crypt Ghouls, which will do some nice poisoning, so I kind of like the pick. Crypt Ghouls are really good against unarmored infantry as well, so a potential counter if the Beastman decides to go cheap infantry heavy. So not a bad plan at all, like I said. And then the poison, you can't beat that with a stick. It's always worth it. I didn't pay attention, not one bit, to the Blood Knights over here, and I get totally pounced on by them. Sorry for giving away some of the surprise. And you can see Khazrak's just going to get himself Spirit Leeched over and over again. So yeah, at this point I was like, yeah, whatever. I mean, this vampire army doesn't have a chance. I'm just going to come in here and pound the crap out of him. He can Spirit Leech me all he wants. So cockiness and full throttle here. I send all my guys up the hill and into combat, thinking that it's just a simple matter of pounding through these guys, and Khazrak or no Khazrak, we'll get the job done. And you can see that things start off very well for me, much as one would expect. But this is what I get for not counting up all the spin from the enemy army and doing a little recon. Now, of course, I definitely shouldn't have just sat back, because he could have Spirit Leeched me even more. Good news is he can't spend much on the Invocation in the Heck. Bad news is my Lord's pretty much dead from the get-go. There he is over here. So Khazrak does get a few killing blows in, and I'm able to use some of his abilities to help my men out. But you're about to see a very, very vicious rear charge from Blood Knights, and the Blood Knights are going to be quite effective in dealing with my cheap infantry that are acting as meat shields for the giant. That giant's just going to get attacked straight on, and all these spearmen over here are going to get wrecked from behind by Blood Knights. Blood Knights are just absolutely vicious on the charge. Very, very good unit. Don't let their anti-large bonus fool you. With 75 charge, roughly, these guys can do some really stupendous damage. And here they are. And getting rid of all my meat shields here really takes away the effectiveness of this build. The meat shield spear units really help save your giants and your Gorbals from a lot of extra damage that they wouldn't otherwise need to take. There you go, got him a bite of a Crypt Ghoul that time, but that was tasty. Probably like chewing on some fettered anus or something. Ooh, that's a bad image. So here comes some more giant action up close. Got the I got the Mortis engine pinned down with some Gorbals, and they're doing a lot of damage to it, but any good vampire player is going to make their Mortis engine slippery as grease. And what I mean by that is they will use heavy units like Blood Knights to keep you from pursuing a unit like the Mortis engine. They will go through their own Blood Knights or infantry unit and get your guys stuck in it, and then keep this unit moving, and then you just let the regeneration do its thing. Wow, what is going on with my mouse here? There we go. Sorry, I'm not drunk. I don't drink at all, in fact, so we're good. Well, I drink water. That's kind of necessary for my survival, in case you needed to know. I'm not some kind of monster that can live without it. I probably sound that way, though, right? I'm kind of a monster? Well, when it comes to how I mistreat peasants in the name of Patchy, probably so. Comes the giant! Whacking away, doing some good work here. Yeah, he's doing a lot of damage, but without the meat shield sponges, you can see that he also takes a lot of damage, especially since he's surrounded by units that have a bonus versus large, and then the poison does definitely hurt his leadership some more. You can see his leadership suffering badly. And it's pretty much over at this point. So the vampire player, by getting rid of my lord like that and then using these blood knights well, he's going to pull out a pretty easy victory here. So what are the good sides and downsides to this army that I'm showing you here? I mean, the good side is that it's kind of gimmicky, and you're probably going to catch a lot of people off balance with it in a just straight ladder battle. Not everybody. Do bear in mind that against certain factions like the Empire, this build will be an extreme risk because of the net of Amantok and they're good skirmishers. However, against the other factions, I think that if you're able to use it better than your opponent can use his defense, this army would be quite capable against numerous builds. And the reason that is because taking out one giant with focused artillery, or with focused either artillery fire or bow fire, is not that bad. Taking out 3 of them gets a little more difficult. And then being able to meat shield for those giants with Gorbals and Spears and Kazarak and everything else can make this build pretty deadly. Like I said, I used it to take out a greenskin build that technically had the tools to deal with those things, but they didn't have the tools to deal with 3 giants. And like I said, that's going to be where you'll sometimes catch people off guard with the build like this, but it's not going to be a one-shot wonder where you're always going to win. And that was obviously proven here, and I thought my opponent did a good job of it, especially considering he probably wasn't expecting that type of build. You can see he was expecting monsters. He had the Blood Knights, and I like how he had the Mortis Engine and the Crypt Ghouls to deal with cheap infantry, and then a couple of Grave Guards just to give his army a little bit of a backbone here, so 3 of them in total. But then a lot of meat shield units, and really a good way to play the vampires. Never really had to bring his lord down much, because I didn't bring anything to help force him down. So again, like the play by the vampires. Hopefully this gives you a little insight into the vampire beastmen matchup. How do you like to play against the vampires as beastmen, or vice versa? Hey, I really appreciate you all viewing. Appreciate all those who comment and subscribe and like, and like I said a minute ago, those who just view. It's all very much appreciated. I'm humbled by the amount of support that I get from you all, and really appreciate you having patience with me while I took a couple of days off to spend some time with the family. It was great, and I enjoyed it, and I'm very excited to be back here with you now. And I just want to throw this out here too. For those who support me on Patreon, there's a few of you, you know who you are. Thank you very much. That helps support my software licenses and my equipment needs and other stuff for running a channel. You are great, and really appreciate that support. It means a whole lot to me, and I probably forget to say that often enough. Appreciate MSI for sponsoring this build that I'm recording on. They're fantastic, and it helps me bring you good content that I really hope you enjoy. I'll be back with more online battles in the near future. Hope you all enjoyed this one. HeirofCarthage, signing out.